The subject of my painting today is a glass of cut lemons with a silver vase and a half an orange. I'm going to start with my raw umber wash using the walnut alkyd medium, and I'm going to wipe out the composition. I'm going to start just by loosely trying to place the objects with a brush, and then I'm finding the darks and the lights. I'm wiping out any area that is going to be the lighter part of the composition to start. So for the value study, I'm going to work with 3 tones. The titanium white with cadmium yellow is going to be my light tone. The dark is going to be the raw umber and ultramarine blue. And then the mid-range tone will be a gray, which will be from ultramarine blue and the raw umber with white. The idea of starting with the values and just 3 tones is that I won't be looking so much at the individual colors, the individual hues. I'll just be looking at the darks and lights, and breaking it down into 3 areas of value. So you'll see when I'm looking at the orange, for instance, that I'm not focused on whether orange is a darker color than yellow, the lemons, but whether it's where the light is hitting the orange. So I'll be using a gray for where the shadow is, and I'll be using yellow for the bright light hitting it. So at this point in time, I'm not concerned in whether it looks like an orange. I'm just showing where the light is hitting it. You can use the value study as a painting in itself. There's no reason why you have to follow through by putting in the color. It makes a statement and can stand on its own. In this case, I'm using it to help me get to the final layer where I do want to use color. It's going to help me see more clearly what the relationships are between the different objects and the light that's hitting them. So now I've gotten to the point where I want to start adding color, and the first thing I'm going to do is scrape off some of the extra paint. I want a fairly smooth surface to start with before I start adding more color. So I use the palette knife to scrape it down a bit. It's possible to put the painting aside and let it dry a little before you move on with the color, and in some cases that can be the better way to go, but as long as you have scraped it a bit and blotted out any really wet areas, you should be okay with moving on with the color. And I'm going to start by working the background more. I hadn't really done too much with it as part of the value study, and now I'm looking for some blues and grays in here and getting more paint on the canvas. I want to keep the background fairly neutral at this point. I want to get the objects in and the color in the foreground before I decide what I want to pull out of the background. And I'm starting with a pretty orange color here for the wood tabletop. And here too, I'm going to be making adjustments as I go along, but I'm following my value study in terms of the light colors, putting my light colors in first. And then I'll be going into more detail as to adding variation in the color. Once I put the orange in, I can see that the tabletop is a little close in value to and color to the orange. And I think what I'm going to do is go back and add some more green highlights to the orange tabletop so that my orange really stands out more against it. You'll notice here that I use a little blue to put in the rim of the glass, and I noticed that one side of the rim is a little more red than the other. The other is more blue, and it's something that doesn't show up in the photo as well as what I can see with my own eyes. So it just is an example of how working from life, sometimes you can really see things that the camera doesn't find or doesn't translate into the paint. Also here, I really want to get the sense of the glass, and even though there's not water in the glass, I decide to put a line across that looks like water, like a water line, just because it makes the glass read a little better, make it a little rounder. So notice what happens as I start to put some green into the tabletop here. I feel like it helps the orange to stand out a little better on the table, and I move it into the background a little too. I'm sorry about the lighting on the canvas in this picture. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing everybody on Thursday.